Joe Schmidt defends Tizzano after controversial Lions Ruck incident. Rugby analysis. What happens when a split-second rugby incident spirals into an avalanche of online backlash? That's exactly what unfolded after last week's dramatic second test between Australia and the British and Irish Lions. The crux of the controversy: Carlo Tizzano's striking reaction to a forceful clear-out by Lions forward Jac Morgan. But here's where tensions flare. Some critics online hurled accusations that Tizzano was merely acting, likening his withdrawal and protective gesture to a footballer simulating a foul. Is this a fair assessment, or are keyboard warriors missing the bigger picture? Australia's coach, Joe Schmidt, passionately defended his player in front of reporters. Carlo has had a really rough week. He's had to endure a flood of criticism online, Schmidt explained, highlighting both the personal and physical toll. He delved into the science behind what happened. During that ruck, his neck was subjected to over 54 Gs of direct force, coupled with nearly 2,200 radians of rotational torque, a combination powerful enough to cause genuine injury. For those unfamiliar, that's a massive impact. Think about how Newton's third law means every action in a rugby scrum is matched with equal, often violent force in return. And this is the part most people miss. Schmidt insists Tizzano's reaction wasn't voluntary or exaggerated. It's physics, pure and simple. When that kind of force smashes you, your body reacts, often faster than your mind can process. So instead of a calculated performance, what the cameras captured was a young athlete's authentic response to a dangerous collision. Yet not everyone buys this argument. Schmidt himself was left frustrated after the incident, especially since match official Andrea Piardi, after reviewing the play with the television match official, Tizzano, allowed Morgan's clear-out to stand. Schmidt has openly argued that the move was illegal and undermines World Rugby's ongoing efforts to enhance player safety. As expected, that didn't win him any favors with World Rugby's leadership, particularly CEO Alan Gilpin. Should officials be held more accountable for these pivotal decisions, or are the laws of the game themselves too vague? Interestingly, Tizzano was left out of the upcoming third test lineup after arriving at training sore earlier this week. But Schmidt reassures supporters that the 25-year-old is bouncing back and was already showing his usual high spirits by Thursday. Is the risk of such injuries truly being minimized in today's game? By Thursday, Schmidt seemed eager to move forward, acknowledging the complexity of refereeing and conceding. There may be some calls we didn't like, but overall, Piardi managed the match well. Instead of dwelling on the past, Schmidt wants his team focused on improving their performance for Saturday's series-ending test in Sydney, a so-called dead rubber, since the overall result is already sealed. But this is where opinion splits. Was the incident a tragic consequence of rugby's inherent risks, or was it mishandled by officials and the rulebook alike? Do you think Schmidt's outcry was justified or an overreaction? Share your thoughts. Should rugby's governing bodies do more to protect players, or is physicality simply part of what makes the sport great? Let's hear your take on this heated debate in the comments below. Australia's Jac Morgan incident. Joe Schmidt reveals impact details Carlo Tizzano's absence. In a surprising turn of events, the Australian rugby team has decided to exclude Carlo Tizzano from their lineup for the final test against the British and Irish Lions, despite the fact that he did not sustain a concussion during the incident involving Jac Morgan. This decision has sparked significant discussion and debate among fans and analysts alike. Joe Schmidt, the head coach of the Wallabies, has shed light on the reasons behind Tizzano's absence from this crucial match. The incident, where Morgan executed a clear-out on Tizzano, has ignited a wave of controversy, particularly because many believe that Morgan should have faced penalties for his actions. The aftermath of this incident is largely responsible for Tizzano's exclusion, as Schmidt has now provided details regarding the force of the impact that Tizzano experienced. Carlo has had an incredibly challenging week, Schmidt remarked. He has faced a barrage of online criticism, and I want to emphasize that he endured over 54 Gs of direct force through his neck. coupled with nearly 2,200 revolutions of rotational force. This level of impact is certainly enough to cause serious injury. While a player of Carlo's conditioning can typically withstand such forces, it's probably best for him to take a step back and recuperate. We all know Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When that force struck him and his head was forced downwards, he was propelled backward out of the ruck. Schmidt continued, "I don't believe he intended to recoil in that manner, but the nature of the force dictates that reaction. For Carlo, it's wiser to sit this one out. We were uncertain about his condition on Tuesday, as he was still experiencing significant soreness. However, he showed great improvement today, returning to the vibrant character we all know." The coach confirmed that Tizzano did not suffer a concussion, stating, "I have advised Carlo to steer clear of the media and the various opinions circulating. We are focusing on the facts and the forces involved, ensuring he understands what led to the reaction he experienced. We have complete faith in him, and that trust will remain." The Wallabies lineup for the match includes 15 Tom Wright, 14 Max Jorgensen, 13 Joseph Akuso-Suali, 12 Len Ikitau, 11 Dylan Peach, 10 Tom Lina, 9 Nick White, 8 Harry Wilson, 7 Fraser McWright, 6 Tom Hooper, 5 Will Skelton, 4 Nick Frost, 3 Taniela Tupou, 2 David Porecki, 1 James Slipper. The replacements are 16 Billy Pollard, 17 Angus Bell, 18 Zane Nongor, 19 Jeremy Williams, 20 Langy Gleeson, 21 Tate McDermott, 22 Ben Donaldson, 23 Andrew Kellaway. On the opposing side, the Lions will feature Hugo Keenan, Tommy Freeman, Hugh Jones, Bundy Aki, Blair Kinghorn, Finn Russell, Jamison Gibson Park, Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, Tag Furlong, Maro Itoje, James Ryan, Tad Byrne, Tom Curry, Jack Conan, with replacements including Ronan Kelleher, Ellis Genge, Will Stewart, Ollie Chesham, Jac Morgan, Ben Earl, Alex Mitchell, and Owen Farrell. This situation raises important questions about player safety and the accountability of actions on the field. Should there be stricter penalties for dangerous plays? What are your thoughts on the handling of this incident? Join the conversation in the comments below. Rassie Erasmus' surprising take on Jac Morgan controversy. Shocking or justified? That's the question swirling around the rugby world right now, as Rassie Erasmus has unexpectedly entered the heated debate surrounding Jac Morgan's controversial clear-out. While tempers flare and discussions grow more intense by the minute, this storied coach's latest comments might surprise those who expected him to come out swinging. 13:07, 30 June. 2025. For the past week, fans and pundits across the globe have been buzzing non-stop about the British-Irish Lions and their headline-grabbing second test against the Wallabies in Melbourne last weekend. Andy Farrell's touring side pulled off a remarkable series victory, securing the win with a match left to play, thanks to a stunning late try from Hugo Keenan that overturned an 18-point deficit and left Australian supporters in heartbreak. But here's where it gets controversial. In the crucial moments before that decisive score, Welsh flanker Jac Morgan found himself at the center of chaos when he cleared out Australia's Carlo Tizzano at a ruck. The incident was scrutinized by referee Andrea Piardi, who determined it wasn't illegal and allowed play to continue. This decision sparked outrage in the Wallabies camp, many of whom still believe Morgan's actions warranted a penalty. Some even argue that moments like these undermine rugby's push for player safety. Hours after the match, Australia went so far as to lodge an official complaint, claiming the call didn't reflect the governing body's emphasis on protecting athletes from dangerous tackles. Joe Schmidt, visibly furious after his team's defeat, did not hold back. In a post-match interview, he slammed World Rugby's decision and questioned whether the organization was truly committed to its own player welfare guidelines. In response, World Rugby CEO Alan Gilpin described Schmidt's public criticism as disappointing, firmly defending Piardi's officiating as consistent with the rules. Of course, rather than resolving the debate, Gilpin's statement only fanned the flames among fans who remained divided. Is the incident a prime example of robust lawful rucking, or is it a worrying lapse that could set a bad precedent? Enter Rassie Erasmus, head coach of South Africa's Springboks, someone who is no stranger to high-profile disputes involving rugby officials. During a press conference in Johannesburg, many expected him to deliver a blunt opinion, as he is known for never holding back. Yet, in a surprising twist, Erasmus was strikingly calm and even hinted at a touch of sympathy for both sides. Before revealing his perspective, he admitted with a grin that he had lost an internal bet because he had predicted Australia would win by 4 points. "Honestly, it's such a tough call for a referee," Erasmus explained. "I completely understand how Joe Schmidt would be disappointed and how Andy Farrell would be delighted. As for me, I didn't experience those extreme emotions in the moment, so it's not my place to label it right or wrong." He then pointed out that World Rugby has already thrown its support behind Piardi, thereby sealing the matter in the eyes of the sport's governing body. According to the coach, once an official ruling is made, the rugby community generally has to accept it and move forward. Wondering why Erasmus sounds so measured this time around? Let's not forget he was handed a 2-month ban for his behavior during the last British-Irish Lions tour in 2021. Back then, his outspoken critique of referee Nick Berry, backed by an hour-long video dissecting every call in the first test, caused shockwaves and was labeled a character assassination. In that infamous footage, Erasmus accused Berry of treating Springboks skipper Siya Kolisi differently than Lions captain Alan Wynne-Jones. The fallout was immediate and intense, with World Rugby taking a firm stance against such public denunciations of match officials. Nick Berry, sharing his anguish through a heartfelt statement, revealed just how deeply the coach's comments affected him, both professionally and personally. "Officiating a Lions tour is an honor, on par with a World Cup," Berry wrote, adding that he and his family endured severe distress because of the public scrutiny. He went on to say that he has worked for years to build a solid reputation, only to feel it was compromised by Erasmus's video. "Mr. Erasmus's actions are against everything our game stands for," Berry noted, urging the rugby world to stand firm against such behavior in the future. So, has Rassie Erasmus truly turned over a new leaf, or is he simply choosing his battles more strategically? Some skeptics believe it's a smart tactic. Why wade into another World Rugby dispute when his attention should be on preparing the Springboks for their own monumental fixtures? Others admire his restraint, suggesting it could be a sign of maturity after the turmoil of 2021. After all, controversies can distract from the heart of rugby, two teams striving for greatness on the field. But here's the part most people miss. Despite all the talk about official rulings and heated press conferences, the real question might be whether this incident reflects a worrying pattern of borderline tackling techniques. World Rugby has ramped up its focus on player safety in recent years, driven in part by concerns about concussions and the lasting impact of high-contact play. If a high-stakes match like this can spark such a debate, could it signal more stringent enforcement in future tests? In any case, the final word, for now, is that Jac Morgan's clear-out stands. Some fans see him as a hero who made an aggressive but fair play, while others feel he's gotten lucky thanks to official leniency. And if you ask Rassie Erasmus, he'd likely advise everyone to accept World Rugby's verdict and move on, at least until another clash offers us even more drama. By the way, if you want exclusive scoops, behind-the-scenes insights, and stories you won't find anywhere else, make sure to subscribe to the Inside Welsh Rugby newsletter on Substack. It's a chance to keep your finger on the pulse of all things Welsh rugby. Who knows what revelations might surface next? Now it's up to you. Do you think Piardi's call was correct, or do you side with Joe Schmidt's assertions about player safety? Could the steely reaction from World Rugby signal a turning point in how these incidents are judged moving forward? Share your thoughts. Whether you agree or disagree, let your voice be heard. After all, it might shape how fans and officials view similar controversies in the future.